As a rescue, you've got stories. Whether it's a fundraising story or a video or a blog post or some other form of content, how do you get it in front of people? How do you get them to engage with your content when you post it to Facebook? I'm Chloe DeVita with All Pet Voices, and in this cuddly video, we're going to talk about sharing your stories on Facebook and give you some tips for maximizing your exposure there. Let's start by thinking about why people even go to Facebook. It is mostly to see who is doing what and who is sharing what. Those things drive our engagement and why we go to Facebook. They're why we pick up our phone and scroll to see who's doing what and who is sharing what. But it's also what you need to think about so that you can create a story that captures your audience's attention. It's important to first know how Facebook's algorithm works and why it exists. There are literally billions of people on Facebook. It's too many people for you to get in front of every single one of your followers. You just can't show up in everyone's feed. But you do need to understand that it is an algorithm. It's a bot. It's a formula. So when you first post a piece of content, that formula puts it in front of a very small amount of people. And based on those people and how they engage, it will open it up to more. And if those people engaged, it keeps opening up who sees your content. So how do you make that happen? There are four main things that the Facebook algorithm looks at. The first one is timing. How recent is the content? So posting more often can help. The second is engagement level. And when we say engagement, we mean a like, a comment, a share, a click. Any kind of action a person can take on your post is an engagement. The third one is the type of content. Facebook does like video content more. That's because it keeps people on page. And they tend to like when you're sharing links that drive people off site less because they want people staying on Facebook. And then the last one is the relationship, meaning person to person. Is a person sharing the content? Is a page sharing the content? The relationship between the person sharing and the person engaging can make a difference. We're going to give you some tips right now for what your rescue can do to engage your audience organically, which means you're not paying for it. You're just getting engagement. And this is related directly to the four ways that that Facebook algorithm works. We've talked about engagement, and that is a very important piece of how you can get your audience to grow. And it is because when you engage, Facebook likes it. That means replying to comments pretty quickly after they're left. It means asking questions so that you're starting a conversation. And if you can make it so that your audience and your followers have conversations amongst themselves on your content, that's when the Facebook algorithm really gets happy. If you're a page and you have a group, make sure to keep that group active. You don't have to have a group, but Facebook does like when pages utilize groups because it brings people together. But remember, if you're going to have one, active means posting at least 3 to 5 times a week and engaging back, so going back to replies. Another thing you can do that the Facebook algorithm really likes is going live. And that doesn't mean you talking to camera. It could be you going live during a rescue, during a fundraiser, during an event that you're at with the focus on something else. The longer your live video, the more likely someone is to stay on the Facebook page and watch it. So the longer, the better. But live video is something that the Facebook algorithm will boost in your feed. Another thing to think about if you haven't started using it yet is the Facebook Stories feature. The interesting thing about that is it's actually not a part of the algorithm. Stories show at the top of a news feed for any of your followers. So keep that in mind. They're only going to show up to the people following you, but it guarantees you more of a spot in their news feed if you use Facebook Stories. The last tip I want to share with you is ask your followers to favorite your page. It's one thing if they go and like it, but if they go to their follower settings and choose add to favorites, that means you will show up in their newsfeed no matter what. Growing organically on Facebook is not simple or easy. It does take a lot of work and a lot of consistency for sure. And that's why a lot of people choose to actually put money behind growing their Facebook following and getting more reach on what they're posting. There's 2 ways you can do that. You can boost a post, which means you've already put something up and you're hitting the little boost button. That's going to be most effective when you're simply trying to get in front of more of your followers. It's not necessarily an effective way to find new people because you have very limited options on what you can do. But if you have a huge Facebook page and you want to make sure more people see what you're posting, you could boost a post. For those of you who are choosing to do Facebook ads in the Facebook Business Ads Manager, here are some tips that will help you. The first is to target locally when you can. A lot of what you do as a rescue might be very specific to a certain place or a certain event, and if you can target that ad to that local area, you'll more likely do better. Another thing to think about when you're writing your ad copy, you want to limit the use of the words you and your. Because there is a bot reading your copy, Facebook sees that as directive, and they don't want your ads to be directive. So write out whatever you need to, and then go back through and see how you can replace anytime you said you or your with a name or something else. Now this next one is going to be a little bit difficult because as a rescue, you are always trying to raise money. But Facebook doesn't like a lot of numbers and dollars in content when it's being put out for ads. So just limit the money talk and talk about the benefits that will happen with the money raised versus the exact dollars you need. The last thing to think about is that image that you use. You want it to be a really high quality, eye-catching image. And for those of you experimenting with video can be great. 9 times out of 10, an image will do better. But if you do find that video that takes off, go with it. But when you are looking at your images, just put some time into the quality of them. It will make a difference. Facebook is still a place to be. There are still many people there who want to support you and want to hear your stories. So hopefully you learned some tips here that will help you increase your engagement and find the right audience. And if you're a rescue who wants to do ads and is looking for some assistance, reach out to your cuddly representative and find out what it would take to become a part of their program.
Save a furry friend in need with Cuddly.